represented by the bathroom issue because it shows that those that even being in perfect compliance with the signs on the door, you may have trouble in the bathroom according to how you're perceived by the other people using that bathroom. I had problems with restrooms before I began transitioning as a effeminate gay male. I was attacked more than once in bathrooms. And we got into town around 1 in the morning. We stopped in a coffee shop. We went in the bathroom, and before I knew it, two guys, one pushed me into the other. One took a couple of swings at me, and they blocked the door and said, "Oh, you're a little faggot." I made a lot of noise. Someone came in and prevented me from being hurt badly. So it becomes more than just a matter of I want to use this bathroom or another bathroom. In my case, an effeminate guy, they felt they could get away with doing whatever they wanted to. And they probably could have.
I was followed into the bathroom by a police officer who asked me to see my ID. I explained that I was in the right bathroom and that I was a transgender person and I was just going to use the facilities and leave. When we realized that the cop wasn't going to let me use the bathroom, we just decided to leave and go somewhere else in the city to use the bathroom. And the cop refused to let us leave, pushed us up against a wall, and called about 5 or 6 other cops who came in, arrested us, and dragged us across the floor.
This was a question of sort of women are supposed to look a certain way and men are supposed to look a certain way, and my client apparently didn't fit the norm, and that's what caused the arrest.
In New York and in many other jurisdictions, there is no part of the criminal penal code that makes it illegal for a person to use the quote-unquote wrong bathroom, even if you were considering the person as having the legal sex of their birth sex. So ultimately, even if the person is perceived to be using the wrong bathroom, the police have no basis for questioning, asking for ID, arresting, etc. And it appears to me that certainly many of our clients, most transgender people, don't know their rights around the bathroom. But beyond that, and I think more importantly, even if you do know your rights, the police definitely don't know what the law is.
Richard, I'm in the bathroom.
Oh, well, unisex studies show it helps men and women employees breed familiarity, so long as they don't come in to just breathe.
In large part, when you try to talk to people about bathrooms and about the problems with gender-segregated bathrooms, because bathrooms and everything that goes on in bathrooms are taboo in our society, people will giggle. They don't see that it's very serious. They're not aware of the pervasive nature of the day-to-day discrimination, harassment, and humiliation that trans and gender variant people face in bathrooms.
There are symbols that people look for when they come into a space. Are you welcome in a space? Some of that is language, or there's signs in other languages. The gay community has very popularly either a pink triangle or a rainbow flag or something. Trans people look for a gender non-specific bathroom. And am I able to find it without asking for it? Am I able to find it without having scoped out the whole place?
You're trying to figure out in what language or what symbol has been put on that door, if that's going to be a safe space for you. If that symbol doesn't conform to how you represent yourself, it's just one more confrontation. For people who don't conform to the little stick figures of a person with a skirt and a person with, I guess, trousers, there's that moment of realizing that your identity doesn't fit the label, doesn't fit the signpost.
So, when there's a door and a lock that it just says bathroom, serves the need. The need is not for people to identify, are you male or female in this world? Are you a man or a woman in this world? But do you need to use the bathroom or not? And that's what the sign should indicate, not how do you identify, but what do you need to do. Something I really encourage people to do to really see what the experience is like is that when you need to go to the bathroom in a public place, try to use the bathroom of the other gender. See what that feels like. Can you even walk in the door? What are some strategies that you would use? Would you have someone come with you? Would you watch and make sure that no one was there first? What would you do? The other thing is, if you can't go into that other bathroom, find a gender non-specific bathroom. What does that entail? And that's really being able to experience what it's like for people of gender non-conforming experience who are harassed daily in bathrooms. To be able to experience that as providers is really essential in beginning to start to dismantle that and to solve that in our agencies.
Our clients consistently report severe problems in bathrooms, everything from not being able to use the bathroom in the school they go to being kicked out of a welfare office when they attempt to use the bathroom and they're there to apply for benefits, so therefore they can't apply, to being harassed or beaten up in a bathroom in a public rest stop or a public park.
So I love New York because people are real. You know right away if they like you, you know if they don't. Well, I found out that I'm not very well liked at this pier. Hey, let me tell you the story. It all happened one afternoon. I walked into the women's restroom not too far from where we're standing now. I walked into this restroom here. It says women, okay? I'm a woman. I'm standing in the mirror, primping, getting cute, honey. When I hear beep, beep, blur, beep, beep, come out of the restroom, I'm like, they can't be talking about me. What's going on outside? Lo and behold, the officer comes up to the door of the women's restroom. Come out of the restroom. No drag queens and transgenders allowed in the restroom.
I would definitely have to say the African-American transgenders, when they go into the restroom, they're the first ones approached, because I mean, I've witnessed it for myself. They're the first ones being approached and harassed, or obscenities being shouted at.
So I came out, I'm like, what the hell?
These girls were, you know, being harassed by the guards that wouldn't let them in. They were yelling for the other ones to get out.
Based on an assumption, you're gonna tell me I can't use the restroom because you think I'm not a female? Every transgender man, every transgender woman that comes to this facility should be able to use the restroom.
People have a concern oftentimes that sexual violence will occur if men and women use bathrooms that are not segregated.
The question of women's vulnerability because of their gender is a much broader question. Bathroom safety is just one aspect of that.
I think that the thinking that gender segregated bathrooms keeps people from engaging in sexual assault against women doesn't really comport with what we know about sexual assault and what we know about rape and violence in our society against women. For one thing, I think sometimes it's premised on the idea that if men are in a bathroom with women, they won't be able to help themselves. And I think that that's certainly a sexist and outdated idea about what rape is. I think that we no longer believe that rape is excusable because men can't help themselves.
Women who have often themselves been the target of violence and assault need safety.
When you mark a W or an M on a bathroom door, it does not function as a lock.
If you create a woman's space and give the illusion of safety, then if someone is a predator, they certainly know where to look.
The real question, if we're going to try and talk about safety, would not be a bathroom that was gendered, but a bathroom that you completely controlled. If what we were most concerned about was making sure that no one was vulnerable to attack, then what we do is construct bathrooms where people had complete control over the space. Meaning, you could open a door and walk in and close the door and lock it, and you wouldn't share it with anybody else. It's always interesting to me how it gets displaced into a question of assault, because it puts one group of people that are oppressed against another group of people that are oppressed. And frankly, to me, they look like they should be allies. And bathroom safety should be something that women most understand someone needing, precisely because of the role it's often played in women's lives.
The issue of bathroom access becomes more complicated when people have visibly intersecting identities that that also raise a level of scrutiny one might undergo. So someone who's homeless, a person of color, youth, are already under a higher level of scrutiny in our culture. And when you add a trans identity or a gender different identity or gender queer identity to that, it's just raising the bar one more notch. And I think those individuals encounter the most scrutiny and, I think, the most challenges to their use of public facilities.
I've done a lot of thinking about disability access to bathrooms as well as trans access to bathrooms. And I'm struck by kind of the most frequent gender non-specific bathrooms are bathrooms marked with the icon of a wheelchair. Now on a theoretical level, I think it's really, really, really significant that one of the very few public spaces where the gender binary is broken, it's broken by disability.
It becomes really difficult when you have someone who's like doesn't identify with the label on the door helping you, and how do you deal with that situation? Are you ready to enter the bathroom? Like, I've always sort of done this thing where I sort of, if I have somebody who identifies as a bio boy or whatever, I walk in first and say, you know, there's a guy coming in here. Does anybody have any serious objections to them coming in and helping me go to the bathroom? It makes everyone uncomfortable, and it's just reminded that, like, you don't fit into this, like, place, you know?
To be gender non-specific doesn't just benefit trans people, it gives everyone more bathroom options. It creates more toilets for more people, and that's a good thing.
There are places where this becomes even more acute and actually easier to solve, in a sense, than other places. I think that most trans people work or go to school, and it's in those environments where they're going to be using the bathroom on a regular basis.
There's a lot of awareness about gender at the younger ages, and that they really respond to exercises we do that explore what people say a real boy is supposed to do or what a real girl is supposed to do. Often young people become targets of harassment very young. And because schools are often neighborhood-based and zone-based, once you become a target, you don't ever lose that label, and so you remain a target through middle school, through high school.
I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin, especially like with the bathrooms. Like, that's where like gender and how my gender identity was different came up, because I felt like, you know, it didn't really come up in conversation during lunch or, you know, during other times when I could more easily avoid it.
Young people often report skipping gym for those very same reasons. I think locker rooms and bathrooms are particularly hyper-gendered places.
It's just that I couldn't go into the locker room, and I just didn't change for gym. And if you didn't change and get into gym clothes for gym, it's the same thing as not being there.
I think a lot of our student leaders in schools still get a lot of harassment in locker rooms from their peers. Like, are you looking at me, or are you checking me out?
So I had to go to Washington Irving. It was a school that I went to a lot. I went there for like 3 semesters. Ever since I was old enough to be in night school, I was in night school. I mean, basically like bathroom access was just another thing that I had to deal with on top of everything. It just gave me another reason to not come to school that would make my life easier. You know, if I was gonna cut out because I wasn't happy with my life being trans and because I was getting harassed everywhere else anyway, that, you know, like, this is just one more thing that I didn't have to deal with if I wasn't here.
I was afraid that if I went to a boys' bathroom, I would get beat up. I was afraid that if I went to a female bathroom, they would put me down, tell me what I'm doing here, you know, you're a guy, you don't need to be in the female bathroom. Not only it's not safe for me, but it's embarrassing. It's very, very embarrassing. Such people are looking, and you know, to me, it lowers my self-esteem down, you know?
The bathroom issue really sticks out as a key barrier to them to going to school, attending school, feeling comfortable at school. I've talked with a number of the clients about just how they feel they have to hide to go to the bathroom. They don't feel comfortable. And they'll hold it in all day. They'll be really duplicitous and cloak and dagger just to use the bathroom.
I'm not asking for a special trans bathroom, no. You know? I just want to be able to be comfortable in the bathroom using, be safe. They told me that I could use the bathroom in the lab, but that bathroom was often closed. So, you know, so nothing was really resolved, you know, so that's the reason I left the school, because I was tired of them not doing anything about the bathroom issue and about me being safe in the school.
I identify as a butch lesbian, and I think anybody who's different feels uncomfortable in bathrooms. All first grade, I went to the boys' bathroom, and no one corrected my behavior. Nobody really said anything, and as a result, I ended up using the boys' bathroom all year long, because that's where all the people that were dressed like me were going to the bathroom. Just made perfect sense. Second grade rolls around, and I'm told that I need to go use the girls' bathroom. So I go to use the girls' bathroom, and the girls in the bathroom tell me I'm not supposed to be there, I don't belong there, I should leave. So I showed them my underwear thinking that would convince them that I was a girl. Like, what boy? I mean, I knew at the time no boy would wear girls' underwear. What boy wears girls' underwear? That should be convincing enough. And it wasn't convincing, and they threw me out, and I went back to my teacher and I cried. She took me down to the bathroom and explained to the girls that I had a right to be there, that I was a girl, that it was okay that I was there.
I think the young people who are most targeted are those who fit the least in society's norms.
I recall not using the bathroom very much that year. That whole year, I had stomach problems. My mother had to put me on this high-fiber diet, and I had to be like I'm just a mess. And it was probably all because of this bathroom stuff.
One of the things that really concerns me is that I think that there's a lot of health consequences to what we see happening with our clients. People are not using the bathrooms in their schools, they're not being able to use the bathrooms at their offices, and they can't use bathrooms publicly. So what you see is people not using the bathroom when they need to. And anecdotally, I've definitely seen in trans communities that people have a lot of health problems related to that. Everyone knows that the healthy way to deal with going to the bathroom is to use the bathroom when you need to. And when that is not possible for transgender people, we see health problems in our community.
I did not go to college. I dropped out of high school. I'm sure that my gender problems were a part of the reason why I dropped out of high school. As a result, I've ended up with jobs like this. It still affects me to this day. You know, it's never not affected me. Those are like formative years of learning and like growing. And that's my bathroom experience.
You can see over time, it's just depressing to be at work, to be at school, to have this pressing biological function, and you're afraid someone's going to see you. Am I going to have to wait till there's no one in the hallway? The entire situation is anxiety-provoking. The entire situation it's damaging over time. It's damaging.
Well, when I first started transitioning from male to female, I was pretty uncomfortable using restrooms in the college. In fact, I certainly didn't want to go in a men's room. That would be ridiculous. And I wasn't at all comfortable going into the women's restroom.
When this happens in a workplace, there may be a very valued employee, but people are very confused by what's going on.
So I did a search of the campus and discovered in the nurse's office there were single stall bathrooms, which are for someone who's transgender, those are the bathrooms that are the easiest to deal with. It had a lot of inconveniences because you can only use it when the nurse's office was unlocked.
There are a lot of people who are transitioning gender who have a fairly extended period often of not appearing or not being perceived to be either gender.
Then I reached a point where I became comfortable enough that I would go into the more public restrooms on campus. And that seemed to work pretty well. And then one of my colleagues who was in my department, another professor, went to the academic vice president and said, I was going into the bathrooms, and the academic vice president, she says, well, where else is she supposed to go?
Because there's so little understanding of gender diversity that HR directors and managers and people who are working with transgender and other people are really at a loss to know what's going on.
Unfortunately, even in situations where we have good anti-discrimination laws that cover gender identity, we see people losing in court when they go to challenge their rights to access a sex-segregated facility like a bathroom. So you look at the case of Julie Goins in Minnesota, and she was living in one of, at the time, only 3 states that had gender identity protection in its anti-discrimination law.
I had my supervisor's boss come up to me and say that we need to go down to Human Resources because the Human Resources Department wanted to know which washroom I should use. I'm just looking at him like, what are you talking about?
When she challenged her inability to use a women's bathroom at her employer, West Publishing Group, she ultimately lost in court at the highest level in the Minnesota State Supreme Court. So overall, we just sort of see that this is a source of enormous violence and discrimination and fear in our clients' lives, and really restricts their ability to participate equally in employment, education, the use of public space. It just feels as though sort of it's one of these major obstacles in our clients' lives that a lot of people don't even recognize as being a serious issue. It's something that's so fundamentally under-discussed in our culture.
It is in an employer's best interest to have people feeling safe and secure and comfortable in the work environment.
And having a gender-neutral bathroom is often one of the sort of, it's such a concrete piece of infrastructure that is welcoming for trans people.
That is one of the things that clients have pointed out, is that we have degendered bathrooms here, and how they feel comfortable coming here using the bathroom.
My hope here is that people can learn from our experience. We got together as an office, we had training sessions, and then we also had discussions on alternatives. We educated people, and what we did was we have all gender bathrooms. We have had no problem, and I can't see why every office doesn't do the same thing.
Put it in another bathroom. Make people happy. Happy workers are productive workers, and so I don't think that there needs to be much of an argument around that.